This ain't no rendezvous. I'm addicted to the way you love that. Ooh, that's how I feel about you. This ain't no rendezvous.
What's going on, guys? July 12th, Jordan Sather here, and what I'm going to do in this update is talk to you a little bit more about the Earth changes going on. One of the stories that I did report on a couple days ago and a couple new ones, and then I'm going to also discuss a lot of the soft disclosures creeping out through the mainstream media and put some perspective on a lot of why and how and when that's all happening. So I'll talk about that all in a minute. But first of all, I want to talk about the Earth changes. And the first story I have on here is that Yellowstone lava story that I reported about a couple days ago. I think that is actual fake news. My bad for not verifying it a little deeper. But this story, I mean, a lot of people were talking to me about being actual fake news. At first, the fakeness I saw, or at least the debunking report that I saw, came from Snopes, and we all know how BS Snopes is. So I was like, you know, of course they would debunk it. They try to debunk everything. But this story, you know, as I thought about it a little more, researched it a little more, I did research into where it came from. Looks like it just came from out of the blue, out of nowhere. And if this actually was happening, I'm sure it would be more reported than it is. And also, in terms of this story, I do want to make a note. Whether this was planted on purpose or not, we're not going to speculate on that. We know it's probably fake. Let's just move on from it. But I want to make a point about actual fake news. Sometimes fake news stories are made on purpose and then debunked by the very people that made them, such as Snopes and a lot of the mainstream media outlets. So, for instance, if the deep state or, you know, that group of people, they made an actual fake story and then they used their mainstream media syndicates to debunk it, that would then look like the syndicates, whatever they use, whether it was Snopes or whatnot, would gain more credibility that way. Do you see? So sometimes they'll actually plant true fake stories for them to debunk and look better with. So whether this was that, maybe not. Maybe it was planted out there to stir up some stuff in the truthing crowd. Who knows? But just want to throw that out there. Probably actual fake news. Next, the ring in the sky. This one I don't think is fake. So I'm going to point you towards a Facebook video that came out on July 8th. Here's a screenshot of it. Here's another screenshot of it. This, you know, I can't post the video on here. Go check it out on her Facebook. She's the one that took it. I don't know her name, but her name was... You know what? I'm not even going to say it. Go check the link. But that doesn't look fake. And apparently, according to her video, which actually, I mean, there's a bunch of people lined up on the side of the road, and she's, like, talking, and you can tell by the voice inflections and what was going on that this does not seem fake. Apparently, this ring in the sky was lasting for like at least 15 to 20 minutes. And if you look at it, it's almost perfectly spherical. Now, some people sent me some articles and I saw some stuff around saying that sometimes smoke rings can occur in the sky because of either transformers or fireworks or things like that. And, you know, good skeptical thinking, good critical thinking, trying to see what it actually was. But when you look at this thing, it lasted for 15 minutes, she said. No smoke ring is going to last 15 minutes. It'll dissipate by then. And if you look at the shape of it, it is this perfect sphere that's way up in the sky. So, yeah, it's legitimate to say it might be a smoke ring. That's good thinking. But little more thinking leads you to conclude, or at least it leads me to conclude, that this is not a smoke ring. So what the heck is it? You don't know. There's a lot of different speculations that I could offer you for it. Some of the ones I wrote on Facebook, I'll just read here. I mean, it could be an example of the Earth changes or the cosmic changes, right? Maybe this point on the Earth was over some intersecting ley lines. Maybe there's some increased energetics around that spot. Maybe a portal just vortexed open in the sky. Something of that sort. That's one option. Could very well be. Maybe this is an actual UFO stunt. Maybe you know, that saying UFO could be either extraterrestrial or man-made. So we know that there's ET races that want to open, you know, offer themselves to us, divulge themselves to us per se, and then there's factions within Earth-based secret space programs that want to open themselves up to us as well. So this UFO show, it could be, you know, could be from either of those factions, either of those groups, could be non-terrestrial or Earth-based, right? It's the showing of a UFO without actually showing something that is a legitimate or looks exactly like a UFO, because then it makes people question without freaking out. You see, it's an easier way to put this onto their conscience with. But it could also be a test of some holographic technologies, right? We know Project Bluebeam-esque holographic technologies like that could exist. It could have been a test of it. You know, I won't get too far into Project Bluebeam here, but could very well be. Granted, I don't think that's a viable option because enough people know of Project Bluebeam now where they'd probably be able to, wouldn't be able to be pulled, per se, that false flag. And could have been a fake, right? It's always an option to throw on the table until something is pretty much beyond a shadow of a doubt proven true. But again, I kind of already went over the likelihood of the fakeness of it, and I don't think so. So I want to show you this. I wanted to show this to you guys because it kind of blew me away and let me scratch in my head for a little bit. And then I also saw another Facebook video that was from July 6th. I saw this one just this morning, and it came out of Georgia. But on this Facebook video, I saw it. What it was about a 7-minute video of this giant light in the sky. It was a person driving who was taking this video, and as they pulled into the parking lot, they shot it for an extra couple minutes, and it was this big, it was just like a light. And at first it looked like the sun in the sky, but then it just sort of rose, turned into like a geometric triangle, and dissipated. Now, when I tried to look this video back up right before I did this video, it was deleted from Facebook. So it actually said, you know, this attachment or this person, whatever, could not exist, error message from Facebook. So I know I can't offer any proof of me seeing it, but I did see this, and it's deleted from Facebook now, so that's real weird. But you can still go see this one, which is a little more weird, a little weirder, the ring in the sky. So Earth changes, right? And again, like my video I said on the 10th, there are so many changes going on, not just on the Earth, but in the Earth, and above the Earth, and in our solar system, and in our galaxy, in our cosmos, right? There's changes going on at every single level. So we're going to be seeing a lot more weird stuff. I'm going to keep covering it. And understand that if you see weird things in the sky, it could be a UFO from another civilization. It could be a UFO that's been made in secret government projects, or it could be an example of changes that are going on every level right now. So there probably will be weird things that we're going to start seeing or feeling or any of that sort. Don't freak out. Ride the wave of change. Don't let it suck you under. So that's what I have to say about that. Now let's get into some of the free energy and soft disclosure stuff that we've been seeing in the mainstream media. And what I want to say before we get into all of this is what's going on this planet right now is because the deep state or the New World Order or the dark forces, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, because they're getting so exposed, so many people are waking up to them, the consciousness revolution is occurring at such a breakneck speed, they are trying to divulge as much information as they can without divulging that information that implicates them. So what they're doing is they're trying to disclose a lot of stuff like free energy and the technologies that have been locked away in the black projects for years and years and years, and just all this stuff that's going to wow the shit out of the mainstream population. But they're going to be so wowed by the stuff that they're going to disclose that they're not even going to realize that there's so much more out there. Do you see? That's kind of the idea of partial disclosure versus full disclosure. So a partial disclosure are these groups trying to get out all this information, but only giving you a little bit of it. Enough to distract people, but to hide the rest of their crimes or what else they're hiding from us, right? Versus full disclosure. Full disclosure is them coming out and admitting that we've had basically secret space programs on this earth for almost 100 years now, since the time of the Germans. Full disclosure is them coming out saying that we already have breakaway civilizations, that they've stolen trillions and trillions of dollars, that the highest politicians and deepest banksters and, you know, there's so many, what I want to say, people into really weird stuff in high political and corporate office. By weird stuff, I mean pedophilia and trafficking of people, organs, drugs, and guns, and a lot of dark stuff out there. So that's full disclosure, right? Versus partial. What they're trying to do in the mainstream media right now is put so much information out there that's of the partial disclosure narrative, okay? So, for instance, just today, scientists teleport photon 300 miles into space. Star Trek tech still way off, says The Guardian, but they said this proves that quantum entanglement is a thing. Now, quantum entanglement, of course, is that idea that all points in space and time are connected. That's pretty much it. That's the main foundation of, you know, all of the science that is science and all of the spirituality that is spirituality. All points in space/time are connected. Now, that has been found out, again, as I mentioned just a couple minutes ago, secret space programs have been on this Earth for decades, since World War II, since at least the 30s and 40s, I want to say. So, this has been done, right? They've figured this out in the Black Projects. But, like I said, so many people are waking up to these facts, like little old me with my YouTube channel. Thousands of people, tens, hundreds of thousands of people are waking up to the fact that that technology has existed for years and years and years. They have to rush all this shit out, you see? So it's like every week there's some new science article saying, oh, quantum entanglement. Now it's a theory, now it's a test, now it's been successfully tested, now it's been done, now they're teleporting this and this and this and this. So understand that. And when they say a photon, they teleport a photon, just as a side tangent here, that's really interesting because what is a photon? It's a packet of information. It could be considered that. So they said they've teleported essentially a packet of information. Well, when spacecraft teleport itself, basically turns itself into a giant photon and then dematerializes and rematerializes elsewhere. So, you know, as above, so below. On the smallest scale, they just teleported one photon because, of course, they're sliding this out into the mainstream realm right now. But it's that same concept at a greater scale when other things teleport, whether it's a human or a spacecraft or anything like that. So, tangent there, quantum entanglement does exist for any size thing you want to do with it. Next, DARPA awards a contract to make a two-way brain-computer interface. And DARPA always seems to be that bridge between the covert projects and the mainstream realm. So whenever they want to slide some stuff out into the public, they always use DARPA. So DARPA stands for the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. So they try to claim that DARPA is the most advanced shit on the market, but it's really just that bridge between the ungodly amount of stuff they already have, and they're trying to seep out a little bit of whatever they've discovered or reverse engineered or all that jazz into the public domain. Whether it's to like monetize something or whatever the case may be, that's what DARPA's for. And in this case, I think DARPA is being used just to slide out some soft disclosures. And when it comes to the two-way brain-computer interface, what's been told to me, can't remember who told me this, but you can find this information out multiple places. When it comes to piloting extraterrestrial, specifically non-terrestrial craft, because that's what we reverse engineered from. When they found a lot of these crashed craft, they came with brain-computer interfaces. That's how the non-terrestrials, or the ETs, would pilot their craft, is through simply thought. And even the craft itself was made from thought. It was made from the ET's consciousness, because, and they could tell that because there was no rivets. So in early space program craft that they made, for instance, like the Nazi Bell craft and whatnot of the 40s, they could tell it was a man-made craft because there was rivets in it. In the ET craft, it would be a completely smooth surface with no rivets because it was simply the consciousness of the ET being that would bring that matter into existence. And certain brain-computer interfaces within the craft would boost their consciousness powers to be able to do that. So there would be certain chairs or things like that that they would use to enhance different interfaces they would use to enhance their conscious abilities to create matter and to dematerialize their ships and all that jazz and speed around. So there's a little bit of information on that. Again, we could, you know, go on so many tangents with each of these news stories. So a super secret SSP technology that's probably been around for a long time, finally making its way into the public light. Then we have futurism. I saw a couple interesting articles on futurism, which is one of my favorite mainstream science rags in futurism. They love their artificial intelligence. There's always another, you know, AI is the next best thing when it comes to futurism, and there's so much corporate science BS on futurism. Like, they love their vaccines and they love their global warming shtick. But anyway, when it came to these soft disclosures, I saw one article about floating images and this holographic display, and then another article about a holographic phone being on the market as early as 2018. Now, of course, many a whistleblower has said they already have this stuff, whether it be like smart pads you could bring up any kind of information on, or whatever the case may be. They already have this stuff in covert projects, and a lot of the movies that we see is basically the truth in plain sight. So when it comes to like Minority Report, for instance, when he's sliding around that interface and they can just use their fingers, there's 3D, like Star Wars, there's 3D projections that can already be done, right? Holograms, holographic, and like the Project Bluebeam that I mentioned up here, they already have this stuff at a much more advanced scale than we're led to believe. So there's that. Next, scientists assert they'll soon be able to edit human memories. Obvious one that they've had in the Black Projects for a while now. It's exactly how they swiped the memories off my labs or military abductees. Their memories are swiped when they go back to their houses or the real world or whatever the case is. And Men in Black right there with Will Smith and his little, boop, you're not going to remember this anymore device. Been done. Been done. And then this one was super interesting. I saw this on Science Alert. It says India is about to be the second country ever to use this new nuclear technology. And it was going on and on about how, you know, this is going to change the renewable energy game and all yada yada. But what it said, and it was talking about a fast breeder test reactor, whatever, you know, cool new nuclear technology. But one line in this that I want to say to you guys was this one right here. This type of reactor is capable of generating more fuel than it consumes. Sounds a lot like an over-unity device to me, or free energy being slipped right into the public domain right there. And there's also been many articles coming out about cold fusion recently as well, with them saying cold fusion is this, you know, we're one step away from having cold fusion devices and all that jazz. Cold fusion was invented 3 decades ago in the 80s by 2 scientists in a Utah laboratory. Cold fusion's been around for decades, right? But now they want to say it's a possibility that's about to come out on the market because they don't want to admit they've been hiding it from us, because remember, that implicates them. And then lastly, the one I want to get to is an article about Tesla. And of course, I reported on this 2 days ago. It was Tesla's birthday. On that day, The Guardian decided to release a big old report on Nikola Tesla, and they basically, it was his biography. Now, what they didn't do, though, is say a single word about his limitless electricity, his wireless transportation of electricity. They had zero words in there about JP Morgan funding him and the bankers pulling his funding because he wanted to create limitless electricity. And not a word about Tesla being able to essentially download information from the Akashic records and his consciousness, him believing his consciousness extended outside of his brain, and he was actually able to just simply download his information. There's no better way to put it than downloading. But not a word about any of that. But what they did was try to say, oh, you know, he's a little eccentric and weird because he went a period without eating solid foods, and oh, he's kind of eccentric guy and weird because he loved a pigeon. And it seems like they were paying homage to him in the shittiest way possible, not saying a word about all of his inventions that could change this planet, but they're also making him seem a little weird. So again, they want to tell you a little bit of information, but not all of it. I just wanted to throw that in there so we know that how bullshit the mainstream media is. Like, you guys need any reminders of that. But hey, maybe I have somebody new on this channel that's watching that needs that little reminder. So anyway, there's a little bit of information on Earth changes, and there are a bunch of science and technology articles about a lot of stuff they're trying to seep out into the mainstream, and then my opinions on the reality of the situation. So I am going to do more videos, maybe once a week or every so often, detailing a lot of the science and technology stuff, because it's very important for us not to be duped with any of that partial disclosure narrative that I mentioned earlier. So hope you enjoyed that, guys. Thank you for all of your support, whether it's on PayPal or Patreon or just on YouTube sharing this information or whatever else it is. So all of you guys are amazing. I'll be back very, very soon. Take care.